Hello, everyone, and welcome to Level 1 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. It's a brand new gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. Today, we're recording our very first episode or level, April 30th, 2020, for the year of the pandemic. I want to introduce with myself, I have Cory here.
Hello.
I also have David.
What up?
Yes, I am Jeremy. I am going to be doing the terrible job of mediating this whole thing, and so I apologize in advance. But just to let you know how this goes, we discuss games. This is what we're doing. We're three lifelong gamers, and we're going to talk about stuff that interests us in the gaming industry, different games that are coming out, games we've played in the past. This is more of a get to know us type of episode, right, guys? You're going to get to know who we are as people, as gamers.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We're all apologizing. I cannot apologize enough before we even start. But speaking of that, let's get to the first segment. That could be informational, right? Give you guys something to know. So we're going to start with the morning announcements. Morning announcements is when we go through basically a bullet point, boom, 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 of the most interesting or headline grabbing announcements in the world of gaming. So let's start with number one. The PS5 is predicted to be between $500 to $550. This is based on an article written, I believe, in Forbes or Business Insider. Should probably check that, but it's one of those two. Is that a problem? Don't know. Second up, Fortnite. I don't remember exactly when, but they did a Travis Scott astronomical concert. So it basically had Travis Scott in the game. People could watch the concert, super engaging. But the question is this the future of entertainment, or is it just a one-off thing? Third, The Last of Us 2 had a whole lot of plot leaks. Not very, Neil Druckmann, the director, is not very happy about it. Naughty Dog's not very happy about it. But they did announce a new release date for it, which is June 19th. Is that too far away? What do you think about the links or the leaks? We'll be discussing that. Also, Ghost of Tsushima, if I said that right. Is it Tsushima? Cory, is it Tsushima? Tsushima? What's happening here? Tsushima. Okay. That also got announced as being July 17th. I actually vaguely remember what that game is now, and I remember it looked completely kick-ass. So nice to hear that. Fifth on our morning announcements, Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone, their free-to-play game, hit 50 million players. But what does that mean for battle royales, and what does it say about the grandfather of it all with PUBG? Number 6 on the morning announcements, the Xbox games with gold have been announced for May. They have V-Rally 4, which I believe is a rally game. That's why rally is in the name. Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr, Sensible World of Soccer, and an Xbox 360 classic of Overlord 2, where you get to be the devil and command his minions.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. Number 7 is, of course, the PlayStation Plus games for May have been announced. And it's 2 of them. They are not what was leaked before, which was supposed to be, I believe, Dark Souls Remastered and Dying Light. Those are not the 2 games, even though it would be great if those were the 2 games, because both those games are great. But the 2 games that are for the PS Plus are City Skylines, the building game, building a city. I've played it probably a good bit. It's really good. And Farming Simulator 19, which has a cult following. I think I've tried to play one Farming Simulator game and I just couldn't get into it. And then finally 8, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been announced and they have a trailer with it. It is Vikings. So there you go. If you want to be a Viking, Valhalla has been announced. Now that we're done with the morning announcements, what we like to do is talk about what entertains us or talk about what interests we have from those morning announcements. So we're going to go to the round table. Now, guys, I've done enough blabbing for the past, 4 or 5 minutes.
You're doing good.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So what stories interest you guys from the morning announcements? What do you want to talk about?
All right. So first up, the Last of Us 2 plot leak. We had talked about this a couple days ago. We had all played The Last of Us, I believe. 2 days ago, none of us had actually seen the leaks. Have you guys changed your mind and actually looked at them now?
I have not. I don't want to see them. I'm kind of glad they came out because that kind of put a nail into the tomb kind of thing. That's probably why they set the release date for June 19th.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
yeah,
it did
I'm just gonna
kind of
avoid them.
It did kind of force their hand a little bit. Like now we got to get this game out because everyone's gonna know it already. Jeremy, have you looked at them?
No, I haven't. I haven't looked at the. I'm not going to dare say. I'm not going to dare speak blasphemy that I'm not interested. I'm not going to say that. So I have not seen them yet. But I'm. It's not that I haven't seen it because I'm not interested. I just haven't seen them yet.
All right, guys. I broke down. I looked at them. I know everything. I know the complete story.
Well,
ask me anything.
I mean,
Keep it a secret.
What are you doing?
I'm going to keep it a secret. I am.
No, I'll ask you. I'll ask you something. Okay, you don't have to get out. You don't have to let out any kind of.
There will be no spoilers from me.
Spoilers. Okay,
there will be no spoilers from me.
Is it gratifying, based upon the first, The Last of Us, which is a classic, a gaming classic? Is the follow-up? Is it gratifying?
That's a question, Jeremy.
Okay.
That I don't think I can answer. The story will be controversial.
Really?
Way more than the first one. I don't know if the first one was controversial. It was a good post-apocalyptic story with real good characters. I think we can all agree on that. This game will just shock people, I believe. The story is I don't know that I can't put it into words without spoiling it. It's just going to be something I don't think you've ever experienced in a game. Honestly, I feel like this will be a one-of-a-kind experience. And when you come to those moments in the game that have been spoiled, I feel like your jaw is going to hit the floor. That's all I really want to say about it because it's just
never experienced before in a game.
I really feel that is not hyperbole from my part. I don't think. I haven't played every game, but this is just, it's nuts. If you played the first one and you continue to play this one, it's going to, you're either going to hate it with a passion or you're going to understand why they did it. I don't even know if you can love it.
Never. So this is basically going to be the Five Nights at Freddy's of this generation of game. Just something so groundbreaking and innovative.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah,
that we've never played before.
In terms of storytelling, I believe it is wholly unique in what they have done.
Okay.
I'm ready for it because I've been waiting since the first one came out for the second one. It was just so great, and I want it to be glorious.
I'm very sad that I have been spoiled myself because coming to these moments would have been extraordinary, but I am so excited to hear what your two takes are when the game does come out.
All right.
Well, you'll hear it.
I'll give it a try. Like I said, I was 10 hours into the last one before I said I can't do it no more. But
it was too emotional for him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's way too emotional.
Sure.
Way too emotional. Really shook me up. But yeah, I'll definitely give it a try when it comes out.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. David, what has your interest?
I like the Fortnite Travis Scott concert thing. Me personally, I really only just got into going into concerts and stuff, even though I'm like 31. And I didn't start going into like a lot of them until I was about 26. So especially during the whole pandemic thing going on, to be able to go into a game and just watch a concert, even if it's not me there, but I'm there via video. That's
right.
Is great.
Right. You're part of something. You're still kind of part of this whole event that's going on.
Yeah, and just to sit there and enjoy the music and relax and I love concerts, and to be able to just go to one mentally, I think that's a great thing, and I hope it's not just a one-off.
The question is, do you think this could be the future of entertainment? Is this like the new way things are going to go.
I don't think it's going to replace what we have, but I think it's going to become a thing.
I mean, I have some numbers here if you want to hear them real quick.
Yeah, let's hear them real quick.
I love numbers.
Good. Okay, so on the premiere of the concert, there was 12.3 million people that tuned in, which is a significant amount, in my opinion. 5 days later, there was a total of 27.7 unique views. And over the 5 shows that they did, there's been 45.8 million views total.
Wow, those are Walking Dead numbers.
Are they really? Like premiere episodes?
I don't know. Probably. I just kind of pulled that out. Okay, I feel like that's probably what it is. Yeah.
You sounded confident, so I believed you.
I mean, that's part of selling the lie is confidence.
Gotcha.
But I mean, those are like really big, impressive numbers. Now, are either of you actual Travis Scott fans?
I actually have not listened to his stuff. I don't know who he is as a artist, but okay. I really like what they did.
I like Drake, and Drake was in that song, so
he was in that song.
No, I am not a Travis Scott fan, though.
Okay. Well, I'm sure. I mean, he's.
How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I listen to some of his stuff.
Okay.
I think he's more famous for being, is it Kylie Jenner's baby daddy?
Yes.
One of those Jenners. He's a baby daddy to one of those Jenners, and he's known for that as well as making music. But his concerts are notorious for being absolutely insane. So I guess that's part of the reason why they decided to do that. But I mean, it's good. I do think it's going to be the future, especially right now as we, try to forge a new future in the post-apocalypse. And, people congregating in large numbers at one place is still going to probably be on hold for a good while. I think we'll probably, in the meantime, see more things like this, kind of more virtual concerts. You see that kind of happening now, like different celebrities and actual singers and then horribly singing celebrities holding like concerts and live events on Instagram or something like that. So I do think it's going to be the future.
And what do you think of just the concert itself? Did you enjoy it?
I mean, I like the song that he has with Drake. I forgot what it was called, but it's like it's the beat where it switches up and it's dope. I like that song a lot. So yeah, I enjoyed it. He was like 50 feet tall, walking all over the place, and
disappearing everywhere. They moved him from the city to outer space to the ocean. I thought it was legit. I thought it was really cool. And as I don't know what Fortnite's age numbers are in terms of who plays it, but I'm guessing there's quite a few teenagers. As a teenager, I think that would have turned me into a Travis Scott fan, 100%. I thought it was awesome.
Well, you're probably almost nearly a Travis Scott fan anyway in that kind of age demographic. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to play Fortnite, and then Fortnite's like, oh, hey, do you like Travis Scott? They're going to be like, who? They're going to be like, do you like Kylie Jenner's baby daddy? And you're like, yeah. And then you're going to say, oh, okay, well, they've got a concert going on right now, and you're just in there flying on a bus or on a hippo or whatever they fly in that game, and you're going to go in there and you're going to watch it. You're going to have a good time. So yeah, I think younger people is probably what that type of stuff skews more towards. Teenagers, preteens, stuff like that. I mean, just wait until they put a Justin Bieber in Fortnite. You tell me that Bieber is going to do a song in Fortnite. You tell me that, I am there waiting with
So do you think that's what's next? Because they had previously done a Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker clip, and that was a big deal. They had released Star Wars like costumes and outfits and lightsabers and stuff like that, and they showed an exclusive clip that was shown nowhere else. Now we're getting a premiere of a song. Do you think it even goes further? Do you think maybe premiere of a new episode of, a TV show, or, years down the line, maybe an entire movie premieres on there? Do you think that's a possibility?
A movie might be much.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
A show, maybe.
I don't think that either. I think Quantum Break showed us once again that trying to merge video games and live media just doesn't work, because at least in my opinion, video games are so much of a more immersive mechanism of storytelling. So being able to be the character as opposed to just seeing the character in something like a movie or TV, I don't think it will ever mesh. But I do think these I do think these concert things would be super dope. So like I said, you tell me a Bieber one's popping up, or you tell me they're going to do they're going to resurrect Tupac in Fortnite. It would be a travesty, but it will also get a lot of people to watch it. You would have a bunch more 45, 50-year-olds in Fortnite to see a Tupac concert. So I think certain things like that maybe, but yeah.
All right, before we switch subjects here, Jeremy, what's your favorite Bieber song?
Oh man. So
only one.
What Do You Mean? That song. Oh man. Well, here's the thing. I have more than one Bieber song I like.
Just one.
Yeah.
Your favorite.
What do you mean? What do you mean is such a, what do you mean? Dun. Oh my God, man. It is so good. It is so repetitive and simple, right? And so lacking in depth.
That is what hooks you.
But yes, that is the essence of it. That is the greatness of which is a Bieber song, man. Is that there is no depth in it. It is just words, and words in their most plain and literal sense. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. He's asking her, what do you mean? He's literally asking her, what do you mean? There's nothing else behind it. All right, cool. And then you see like the music video, and it's like neo noir, and he's like, I don't know, he's like dancing or laying in front of a neon sign that says like vacancy or something. I don't know what it was. It was a great song though. It's a great, fantastic song. Bieber's a man.
Okay, we'll save some of that for our Bieber podcast coming out next week.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Jeremy. What story what were you feeling today?
So the story that interests me the most, and it's probably because I feel somewhat burned by it, is the Warzone hits 50 million players. What does that mean for battle royales, and what kind of indictment is that on PUBG? So we've seen that Warzone hits 50 million, right? There was a big announcement when Apex Legends hit 50 million, and obviously Fortnite crushed it as far as numbers. At one point, it had it's like 200 or something million accounts total that was made, but latest play numbers from PUBG, at least on Steam, shows that it's not even cracking 250,000 as far as active players. I think for battle royales, right, PUBG kind of authored or grandfathered in. There were other things like there's like DayZ and different stuff like that, but PUBG is really what's the major thing that kind of shot this whole genre of game into the stratosphere and into the zeitgeist. And the idea that these other games, of course, you're going to have innovation. Right, you're going to have different things that happens. Like for Apex Legends, it was the ping system. So now everyone's copying the ping system, right? But for PUBG to not be able to retain anywhere near a player base that it once had when it was in early access, and absolutely terrible. And even when it was in early access, you still had to pay $30 to get access to it, right?
Yes.
It was way more popular. Then it continues development. It gets a 1.0 release. It releases on the Xbox. You get 4 or 5 million sales on the Xbox, right? So you have more sales on PC. You have more sales on Xbox. And your daily player base continues to just fall off a cliff. I've always had, as someone who bought PUBG when it came on Xbox and regretted the purchase immediately because of the technical issues, right? I think that was the main thing that kind of hindered it. Is that you had other companies not only innovating in regards to game systems, but also making games that just played better. Like, I remember playing PUBG when PUBG first really hit the Xbox around the same time Call of Duty 4 Black Ops, right? Came out, and it had its battle royale, right? It just did the battle royale and the multiplayer. And I remember playing that, playing that, and it being so much of a better experience. Everything being smoother, being able to do things and not feel like you're being hindered by the net code or the technical aspects of the game. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what a great experience is. Or playing something like Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite, it's more kiddie cartoonish, but the gameplay was way smoother. And it's like, yeah, I understand that Call of Duty has Activision and that, Apex Legends has Respawn and EA and different stuff like that. These are bigger developers, bigger publishers. But I mean, PUBG made so much money. And if you look at other indie developers that may have had hits like that, they've been able to improve their games and make them better. PUBG made a crap ton of money. And there's no way you can tell me that with it becoming an exclusive release on Xbox, that Microsoft didn't hand them a suitcase of cash on that one too.
Right.
So they had the resources to make the game better technically. And I think if they did that, the game would probably be in a better spot. So the game had something going because the genre of battle royales has grown, but PUBG is falling in the wayside because the actual company and the actual product itself, they focused more on monetization and everything else instead of making the game better. So that was kind of my takeaway from it. But what do you guys think of that?
I agree.
Go ahead, David. Sorry.
I agree with the whole PUBG everything. And then like with the Apex, they have the different heroes that do different things.
Right.
Which is cool because, PUBG is you're just whatever your character looks like and you're going to go find guns and armor.
Right.
It's the same thing over and over. And like I put 800 hours into PUBG and
we're sorry.
It was great when it was out. I mean, I put that much hours when that was like the only one out there.
Right.
But then like Apex, I just loved Apex because the diversity. And then with Warzone, that has such a huge following just because it's Call of Duty. You put that name on something, people are gonna buy it.
Right.
Have you guys played Warzone at all?
Yeah, I've put probably 10, 15 hours into it.
How do you like it?
I haven't played it.
I enjoy it. The system to pick stuff up is a lot easier than it like was in PUBG. I like the whole gulag experience. If you die, you have a chance to come back, and even if you don't win your fight, your team can buy you back. And I think it's just like Jeremy was saying, it's just more innovated. And since they have a bigger publisher, it's written better. And I think Warzone is definitely going to hit 100 million players sometime soon.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I guess in terms of PUBG, it's the old guard. It came out pretty much first. Everyone else innovated on it. It's going to have its loyal fan base, and that's going to stick around, I think, for a long time. I was looking up some stuff yesterday. It's still the third most played game on Steam. Now, I'm assuming it was by far away the first number one played game on Steam, but it's still number 3. So that tells me it still has its player base to some extent. But as all these games come out, everyone's going to lose a little piece of that pie. Fortnite has lost a piece of that pie because of Apex and Warzone. But it's just kind of which one you feel like. PUBG is, I guess it's a realistic military shooter, right? Which Fortnite is not at all.
Right.
So it's going to have the fans of that kind of genre. Now, with Warzone coming out, it's also realistic. So we'll see the further along it goes how much that takes away. But Activision isn't the greatest company either. They could easily release another battle royale in a year or so and take away all of Warzone and try to, I don't know, because they've already done it with Black Ops 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are impressive numbers. You said 50 million players. Apex had 50 million around the same time. At the end of the day, I think Fortnite's still king, though.
Yeah.
200, like you were right, 250 million, users on there.
Right.
Not at the same time, but it's king.
Yeah, total users. Yeah, and just with Apex and Warzone they both hit 50 million players within a month.
Right.
I think that's like kind of the most impressive thing. With the I know PUBG still gets good numbers on Steam. There's still definitely like full on hardcore fan base to that game. And by the way, I don't think it was ever number one. I think the number one game on Steam has always been Dota. I think
really?
It's been.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know.
Yeah, strangely enough. Yeah. It might have been at one point, but I mean, when you're talking about like David, you put 800 hours into that. Was it during the early access period of the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it was like the most hot and most into the zeitgeist kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because like now it has the seasons and stuff, and I haven't played a single season in PUBG.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, I have like my cousin. He's probably put I don't know how many hundreds of hours in the Apex, right? And he just loves that game and plays it, and I can see why. It's again the different characters, different strategies. They add different stuff all the time too, and again, it just plays better. It has developed by Respawn, so it has great tight gunplay and everything like that. Yes, I mean I get that there, but I don't know, PUBG, man. I feel like there were some decisions they've made that really compromised how much more of the market share they could have. So I think they're still crushing it. By no way, this isn't a PUBG is dead thing, but this is more like a PUBG is a fraction of what it possibly could or should have been. I think.
Okay.
More so, yeah.
All right. Before we move on, out of those, which one do you think is king, or will be continuing to stay on top? Say 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Out of which ones?
Apex, Warzone, Fortnite, PUBG. And if I'm missing one, you can throw it in. Realm Royale.
I think 3, 4 years from now, it's going to be Fortnite still.
Okay.
Part of that discussion David had with the Fortnite Travis Scott thing, I think is one part of it, is that Fortnite has I don't know, you hear this all the time, but Fortnite has the culture. It gets it. Everything else is just a game. But Fortnite gets it. And also, Epic has sold its soul to Fortnite. So Epic needs Fortnite to be what it is in order to maintain profitability. Because Lord knows when they'll create another game.
Right.
Where I'm assuming Warzone, like you said, Activision, they're going to find some way to screw that up. Apex Legends with EA, they're going to find some way to screw that up. And Respawn is busy making other games. They made a pretty good Star Wars game while also working and developing and supporting that. I see PUBG just eventually fading away. Not entirely, but more so even now because people are going to play those other games. And then you can't forget there's also a bunch of indie developers that have these indie battle royales that a lot of people like too, and they offer different types of ideas and activities and innovations on the concept. So yeah, but I think Fortnite's going to be around. Fortnite is going to be the Minecraft of battle royales. It's just going to always be around.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think we had a pretty good discussion about those games, our ideas on them. But again, this is our inaugural episode, level 1. I think people should know a little bit more about us as gamers in order to understand our viewpoints and perspectives. So, in fact, I want to start with David. David, if you could, right, just
I guess.
kind of, okay, if you guess, right, kind of just let us know, growing up, what kind of games influenced you, made you as a gamer, that kind of informed your opinion and your perspective on things, and then kind of let the people know because of that what you're playing now, what type of games you're playing now, and maybe explain I don't know what you like about them, different stuff like that.
Sounds like a lot, but yeah, I'll throw down. So
okay.
I remember for my 5th birthday getting a Sega and Nintendo and just freaking out, just flailing my tongue, getting spit everywhere. Parents weren't too happy about that, but I got Sonic and Dr. Mario, and I loved those games, and I can still go back and play Sonic. I don't have my Nintendo anymore, unfortunately, it broke. But the Legend of Zelda, I beat the gold one cartridge. I can't remember if that was the first or second one. I beat that with my grandpa.
That's not is that Ocarina of Time?
I think he's talking original Nintendo.
Oh no, you're talking original.
You are
right.
Ocarina of Time was gold for the N64, which I played that one too, and Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask has to be my favorite Legend of Zelda game.
Okay, yeah.
Just the concept of it just blew my mind. I actually never beat it, but I loved it. And growing up, my favorite all-time, I don't think it'll ever be beaten, is Resident Evil. I've been playing it since I was 8 or 9, when I shouldn't have been. But,
yeah, very inappropriate game. Yeah.
But just the story behind it, just the level of commitment to the story, and just the gameplay, it's amazing in my opinion. I have so many action figures, I have so many of OST CDs, and it's great. And then besides that, like we were talking about earlier, The Last of Us, I loved it. And Twisted Metal, I had all of them at one point. Just go around blowing up other cars. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was so great. My favorite, and my number 2 is the one I played the most. And I would probably have to say Twister or Thumper, if anybody knows who I'm talking about. Those were awesome. And
I think I was Axel, right? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah, Axel, the big
the
wheels.
Man with the big wheels.
Yeah. Oh, it was so great. And then like my favorite level probably had to be the Paris level, and I don't know why, but that is just drilled in my head the most. But yeah, so with all that, but what I like to do nowadays, like I literally like the games that you can just kind of pick up, play for a bit. You don't have to farm weapons and stuff like that. Like I play Overwatch a lot, so that's just a 6v6 team-based game. You can just go in and play. You don't have to have hours into it to have one of the heroes maxed out, to have all the best stuff. And then another one is Dead by Daylight. That's 1 killer versus 4 survivors, and the survivors have to fix 5 generators and get out of the level before the killer kills all 4 of them. And I really like both sides. So some days I'll play survivor, some days I play killer, and the killers is awesome because they have a lot of movie killers. Like there's Freddy Krueger, Ghostface, Michael Myers, and then they have their own made killers when they started the game and everything. And then survivors from the same movies are in there. Also, they have a Stranger Things chapter, so they have the Nancy and Steve and the Demogorgon. So I've put 100 hours in the Dead by Daylight the last 2 weeks thanks to quarantine.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I also played a lot of the BRs. I liked the concept of them. So yeah,
Right.
I pick up, go play, or Resident Evil, play a couple hours, all day. That's about it for me. How about you, Cory?
I was also a Sonic baby. I remember my first real big gaming memories being Sonic on the Sega Genesis. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, loving how you could connect the game cartridges together and play the old characters on Sonic 2. That was awesome to me. So those were my first really, really big gaming memories, when I was 4 or 5. But I would say the most influential period was probably the GameCube, PS2, Xbox generation of games. Halo 1 and Halo 2, both two of my favorite games for different reasons. Halo 1 with the I thought great. Oh, it's revolutionary, of course, but yes, the amazing campaign and its co-op. And I remember just beating that on Legendary, which I don't do anymore. I can't beat games on hard mode. That's way past my skill. But back then, we would play Legendary. Me and my brother, me and my best friend. Also in the same generation of games. Oh, and Halo 2, obviously for the online multiplayer. It was the first game I feel like I ever played online. And me and my brother probably sunk hundreds, thousands of hours over the summer, through school, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm also going to bring up a Zelda game. My personal favorite happens to be The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on GameCube. I love the art style of that game. And that's something I think Nintendo does so well is they make their games timeless. You go back and you play a PS2 game, not a lot of them look really good. They look kind of ugly, they look kind of muddy. I feel like Wind Waker holds up still with how good it looks. And it's just a great game. You have this open adventure where you feel like you can do anything. You're collecting all these items. You're going through these awesome dungeons. Link has never been more expressive. He never talks in games, but I feel like in that he has a real developed character. So that's one of my favorites. And I guess I'll do a PS2 game to kind of even it out for that generation. Final Fantasy X. I love Final Fantasy X. I love the story of that game. I love the characters. I love the turn-based combat. I felt like it was super strategic. And Titus is a good protagonist, no matter what anyone says. Don't let them tell you otherwise. He's a good protagonist. And the laughing scene was very well done. I don't know if you guys know the laughing scene. I'm sure you do, David.
Awkward. Yeah, I was just
do you know the laughing scene, Jeremy?
Let me tell you something. It is. I do not agree with you. Okay. I know absolutely nothing of what you're saying, but I don't trust you on this one. Okay.
No, it is perfectly done, okay? A lot of people point to it and say it's embarrassing, and it is awkward, but that is the point. Please look it up. No, don't look it up, because you have to play it to enjoy. Don't look it up. I'm sorry. Do not.
You don't deserve to know.
You don't deserve to know. All right.
You're right.
So those were the 3 or 4 games that kind of made me into the gamer I am today. Now, the games I'm playing today are I'm playing Animal Crossing. I have over 130 hours between me and my wife, who often play together. We love it. Well, she's kind of cooling off on it. But I think the reason I like it so much is it's like a daily chores type game. You go in there and you do your daily chores. At home, that's horrible. You don't want to do chores. On Animal Crossing, though, it's great. You know, you water flowers, you shake trees to get presents, you talk to your friends. It's awesome. It's very relaxing, and it's the type of game that you can play over quarantine and feel real good about. Now, I played Final Fantasy X, 15 years ago? Now I'm playing Final Fantasy VII, if that makes any sense. I recently just beat it. Love the game, love the characters, especially like the combat. It's a good mix of total action based, like a Devil May Cry or something. Not quite that advanced, but it also has turn based gameplay in it, which I think they meld really well together, and it's very strategic. And then finally, I'm playing Hunt Showdown. It is a first person shooter survival horror competitive multiplayer game. Let me get a drink of water. I'm sorry for that.
That's a lot of hyphens.
That is a lot of hyphens. There's 12 guys on the map. You're trying to each find 3 clues. Once you find the clue, you're trying to take down a boss character. There's a spider, there's an assassin, and there is a butcher. Once you take down this character, it is your job to now extract with that bounty. The key of it, though, is once you grab that bounty, everyone on the map knows where you're at. So you're trying to leave while other hunters are trying to kill you. If you get out of there alive, you get a bunch of different kind of perks. You get new weapons. You might get new perks for your character. If you don't get out of there alive, you lose everything. You lose all the guns that were attached to them. You lose the hunter itself. You lose all your levels for that hunter. You got nothing left on them. So it's a really very tense game. The UI isn't the greatest. The aiming's kind of clumsy. The loading sucks. But it's one of those AA type games. If you like it, I think you're going to love it. And that's what I'm playing. Jeremy, on to you.
All right. I will definitely make sure, I guess, to not check out that laughing scene. Then I just have to wait. I have to buy buy a PlayStation 2 and then beat the entire Final Fantasy X, and then
Ooh, Final Fantasy X has been remastered on the PS4, so play it there.
Okay.
It's very good. It's a very good game.
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll be cheaper on the PlayStation 2, but all right. So let's see here. So as far as my background as a gamer, so I have an interesting one. Yes, I remember getting Nintendo and playing Super Mario World 3 and playing, forgot what Ninja Turtle the name of it, but a Ninja Turtle game that was totally kick-ass, right? I remember playing all that stuff. But kind of what really influenced me as a gamer, right? Like kind of that awakening was I recently moved, and a guy down the street owned a bunch of like old computer strategy games. And then he came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, you play games?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, here, play these." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. These for PlayStation?" He's like, "No, idiot. They're for your computer." Right? Well, you didn't call me an idiot, but you know. So
paraphrasing.
Yeah. So what were those games? Well, a lot of those games were Command and Conquer games. Specifically, games like Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun. A game near and dear to my heart, developed by Westwood Studios, which was unfortunately torn asunder by Electronic Arts. But RTS games, Command and Conquer, Tiberian Sun, Red Alert, those type of games, they really influenced me. City building games. There's a game called Caesar 3 that's about building Roman cities. And there's also a game that was called, Pharaoh, which was about building Egyptian cities, made by the same company with the same type of principles. And they are glorious games.
Yeah.
But when I wasn't playing strategy games, I was playing World War II shooters. So I'm playing Medal of Honor, right? And I'm playing Call of Duty. Getting into those, really enjoying those. So a lot of that stuff kind of informed me as a gamer. A lot of it kind of like went back to my love of history and kind of fulfilled that as well. So it was nice to kind of get that. And going through that was cool. That was fine. I was playing mostly those type of games. So these weird kind of oft but great RTSs, and then the shooter here and there that everyone knows about. But let me tell you guys about the game that changed my life. Let me tell you about a little game that came out for the Xbox called The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Okay? Hot damn. So understand that up until this point, I had never understood the concept of an RPG. So I remember going through, opening it. I had my mom buy it for me. It was $20. She had to drive like 30 or 40 minutes away. It was raining, right? But she brought it back to me, and I popped this in. And I went through the tutorial. Anybody who's played that game, you know the tutorial. You land, you're in a ship, you get out, you're a prisoner, like in every Elder Scrolls game. But you get done doing the tutorial, and then the guy says, all right, you're good to go. And then you get out this little shack, right? And then you could do whatever the hell you wanted. And that to me, the concept of that I was absolutely blown away. Like, wait a minute, I can just go kill someone, right? Like I can just go do that, or I can just go buy something and sell stuff. So that game completely changed like everything, my entire concept of games. So since then, I've been heavy into RTS. I mean, not just RTSs, but also in the RPGs. So I'm an RTS RPG dude. So now, what am I playing now? One of those games, I think, is kind of spawned from that, and it is called Mount and Blade Bannerlord. Now, for people that don't know, Bannerlord is the sequel to Mount and Blade Warband. If you don't know that, here's how I'll describe the game. If you remember a game, I don't know if you guys remember this, from the Xbox, there was a series of games, but there was one specifically called Kingdom Under Fire Crusaders.
Nope. Never heard of it. I have heard of it, but I've never played it.
Okay, that is unfortunate all around. So Kingdom Under Fire Crusaders is basically you as his hero, and you got to command troops while you also fought on the field. It was kind of, imagine like, you guys have heard of like Dynasty Warriors and stuff, right?
Yeah,
I played that.
I love Dynasty Warriors 4. Oh my god.
Oh
okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. You can talk about Dynasty Warriors every day, all day, whenever you want. But it's basically like that, except you got to command troops. So you could command infantry, you could command archers, right? Well, Bannerlord is basically Kingdom Under Fire Crusaders mixed with a little bit of Skyrim. Just a little bit of Skyrim, right? You can go around, you can become a lord, you can work for different factions, you can create your own faction, you can command armies, you fight on the field on your own and stuff. You get to make money, you can fight in tournaments, you can get married. Unfortunately, in Bannerlord compared to Warband, I don't know if you ever got married, because you can actually marry people in this. I don't know if you remember when you got married in Warband, it showed the little movie and the little music, and it was so terrible looking and cheesy, right? That it was beautiful. Well, it's not here in Bannerlord. You get married and she's just somewhere, right? You're like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, Bannerlord, obviously something that I've been playing, probably put about 14, 15 hours into it. Really enjoying that game. I probably put about 40 or 50 hours in the Warband, and I know people who have put hundreds, if not thousands of hours into that game. I discovered it late. I was a late bloomer to that specific one, but I'll make up for it. Try to see me in those hours for Skyrim. I'm pretty sure I got you beat. As far as other games I've been playing, another game that I've been playing again is a game called Kha'Zix 3, and Kha'Zix 3 is an RTS. It's like a 17th century RTS game where you start with villagers, you build up a village, you build up, a food, and you build up barracks. So that way you can build your army and destroy the other country, right? Which just sounds beautiful. So I've been playing that. It's great. You just pick villagers, get these big old wheat farms so you can feed hundreds and hundreds of people. You give 100 peoples of muskets. And I mean, you can have literally thousands of little people on the map. So the game is known for hosting these huge battles. So you have these firing lines of 700-800 people going against another firing lines of 700-800 people. And again, this is gentleman's warfare. So they just stand there and shoot each other to death, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
And then obviously another big thing that kind of influenced me as a gamer was sports games. I've always played like NBA or boxing or FIFA or something like that. Like that's always been a thing. And unfortunately, since I am a football fan, I've managed to play the NFL Madden games. So I've also been kind of playing, and I say this with shame, I have been playing NFL Madden 20.
Please leave.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, it's the only way to play NFL football games, but it's terrible. It's like there are game systems in that game that have been broken for 10 years and they just don't fix them.
They don't have to.
Why? Why would they do that? Why would I fix a game system when I can just put DJ Khaled in the game? Right?
Exactly. Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want, right? Don't give them the choice of a coach at the end of the year if you want to be rehired by the same team no matter what, right? Don't fix that. Make sure you put the Migos in the game, right? Because that's what I want to see. I want to be able to pass the ball to Offset. Yeah. So, and unfortunately, I support that game because I play it. So yeah, that's what I've been playing during the apocalypse. The sports games are pretty mindless, so if I'm feeling a little bit stressed or anxious, I just pop that in and just do mindless football stuff with it. But that's kind of what I've been playing.
All right, very nice.
Yeah.
Before we move on, for the RTS, which I think this game is, have you ever played Total Annihilation Kingdoms?
Let me tell you something about Total Annihilation.
Oh boy.
Because I love that game.
Total Annihilation is one of the games that guy gave to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is a fantastic, legendary RTS. Have you ever heard of a game that's kind of there's two games, but have you ever heard of a game called Metal Fatigue?
No.
Oh,
no.
Sweet Jesus. Just quickly about this game. It's like Total Annihilation, right? But instead of building robots, you build these big old robots, but you build them in parts. So what happens is you say, okay, I got to build they call them combots. I've got to build a combot, right? So here's what I want. I want the torso to have rocket launchers on it. Right? And I want the right arm to be a sword. And I want the left arm to be a laser sword. And then I want the legs to be force field. So when the enemy sends tanks to shoot at the legs of my robots, it doesn't affect them, right? This game is janky, right? It has some poor design ideas, but I love it so much. That game came out in 2000. I mean, we're talking about old games, right? And then a newer one is Total Planetary Annihilation, I believe it's called. There's a newer one. That came out like a few years ago, and that's pretty good too. But that one's cool because it's all the same stuff, except that you can actually fight across the entire planet. So it's not just a flat map.
Oh, wow.
You can zoom out, and that map becomes a planet, and there can be multiple planets on a universal map, kind of. So you could have 3 or 4 players start on 2 or 3 different planets. You could build up your forces on one planet, fly over to another planet, and then evade that or start another base there or something like that. That's a really cool game. But yeah, Total Annihilation is legendary.
It brought him back a little bit, David.
Well, I'm glad.
That Twisted Metal brought me black. Yeah, it brought me back too, man, because I love Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal Black is actually what I was thinking about. Yeah,
it's a great game.
I
love those.
Great.
Yeah.
And then, did you play like NFL Streets or NBA Streets? I think those are the name of them.
Those are great games. Those I wish they would bring those back.
100%.
Those are great. They're making now is trash. I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean, but I'll be mean with this game because they've taken advantage. They've taken advantage of just the people that play that game. It's just there's just not a lot of innovation there. It's just a lot of marketing and selling, and that's not said from I want them to fail. I want the game to be good. It's the only NFL game we have. So, I feel like you should probably take a little bit more care with it. And what usually happens with Madden is that the worst versions are the games are the ones that come out during generation jumps.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So like Madden 06 for Xbox 360 was terrible, right? Because it was going from Xbox to Xbox 360. And then whatever the Madden was that went from Madden 25, I think, but that went from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, was terrible. So I'm expecting this next one on Xbox Series X, great name by the way, or PS5 to also be not that great. Which is unfortunate, but hopefully they prove me wrong.
All right, yeah, that was it for me.
Me as well.
All right. Do you guys want to take a quick break?
I would love to.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we will be back on the other side of the break with more thoughts and players. This level of thoughts and players is brought to you by us. If you've been enjoying the podcast so far, please show your support and let us know by subscribing to the podcast, following us on the socials, and contributing to community surveys and questions around our community segments. Doing so will help the podcast grow, keep our content engaging, and most importantly, make sure your voice is heard. Thanks for tuning in, and now back to the show. All right. Next that we have up for you guys, something we like to call, was it worth it? And in this segment, what happens is, hopefully, as you all are listening to the show and you all become contributors to our community and give us your ideas and your thoughts and your emotions and your feeling and eventually your souls, is that we will discuss a game or games every podcast in which we assess the price it came out at, the release price, and the game. Somebody have played it. In this case, it's David. And they'll kind of give their impression or opinion on, hey, was it worth it? This game was $20. Was it worth it? This game was $80. Was it worth it? So with that being said, today's topic is going to be the recent Resident Evil 3 remake. So, David, was it worth it?
Well, let me tell you. I'm going to go over some points, and in the end, I'll let you know. So I'm going to go over the pros first, because why talk negatively about a game right from the get-go? It's not great. So one of the biggest pros is it being a remake. The graphics, the controls, the camera view, if you guys know how the old Resident Evils worked, is amazing. The graphics, it looks like a real city, real people, and the fire and water looks like fire and water. And I could do every little detail, for the lighting and the shading, but I'm just going to go with graphics because it's very broad. And the controls, if anybody has ever tried to go back to play a PlayStation game, it is god-awful. One of my favorites is Resident Evil Survivor, and I went to play it. I can't. I literally can't. I literally turned off my PS3 and I said, no. And then the camera view, back then, it was just set. Like it was like on the wall and you'd have to move that way. But now it's third person, just right behind you, and you can control if you're looking up and down. It's way easier, and it's better. And next we have, the game is still enticing as it was back then. It still sticks to the roots of the original. You still have Nemesis just running at you and trying to kill you, and he scares you, jumping out of walls, jumping off of buildings. It's not cool. And then it's straightforward. It's like I said earlier, I don't like the games you have to run around and find stuff. Like WoW, build stuff up, everything like that. You just go. You have to find a fire hose, sure, but it's linear. You're gonna get to the end and a straight shot essentially. And then with that, there's a new section at the end of this game where you collect points as you play through the campaign, and at the end you can use the points to buy stuff. Like one of them is what I'm sure everyone is going to want to go through first, is the infinite rocket launcher, because who does not want to go back through the game and just blow up everything with one shot? I did that with Resident Evil 4 with the hand cannon, and it is the best of times. You minimize your game time. You minimize having any kind of trouble. Is it kind of cheap? Well, yeah, but you know what? You earned it beating it the first time. Let me have my good time and just blow everything up, and that's the end of it. But unfortunately, now we have the cons, and it being a remake, it's a remake. You're not going to please everybody. I'd be like, oh, it's not the same as the original. What? It's not going to. It's remake. It's updated. Some stuff just doesn't mesh well with the gaming that we have now than what we had then. It's way different. And then in Resident Evil 3, the original, they had an option system. Like once in a while when Nemesis popped up, you'd be like, do you want to run to the kitchen or do you want to jump into the sewers? It's gone. You're just running at this point. And the biggest gripe I have is the mercenaries mode at the end of the original. I loved the mercenaries mode. I put just as much time into that as I did the original game. And for that to not come with in the remake, very upsetting. But they did give us Resident Evil Resistance, which is actually a lot like Dead by Daylight that I mentioned earlier. 1 killer, 4 survivors. While it does have its very own take, it's essentially the same game if you're just gonna put it in a pot. It's the same. And some of the sections of the game isn't included from the original, like big scenes like the park, the clock tower, the water treatment plant. You're not in those in the remake. And like the clock tower is kind of a big thing for some players. But I was fine with that. Didn't really bother me too much. You see it, you just don't get to go in it or anything like that. And the biggest thing a lot of people have, and what a lot of people are going to base on if it's worth it or not, is the game time. It is shorter than the original. Now, personally, I don't remember how long it took me to beat the original, so I watched some videos on it, and people were averaging about 7 hours or so for people who don't speed run, because speedrunners are just ridiculously amazing at these games. I don't know how they can do it.
It's because they're crazy people.
Yes. But the new one, I beat it in 5 hours, and that was me not knowing what I was doing, trying to find everything. So I'm sure when I play through it again, I'm going to cut down to like 3 hours, 2.5 hours. So with all that said, I personally think it was worth the price tag. I believe it was $60. It brought me back to good times when I was younger. It brought me back into the Resident Evil series, which I said I love it. So just to have to run away from Nemesis again just really brought back good times. And even though it doesn't have the mercenaries, it does have Resistance, and I love multiplayer games. So I like it. I think it's worth it.
So you're saying they remade it, right? They remade it a little bit shorter, took out some sequences. They extracted or took away an original game mode and put in a game mode of which was basically replicated from another already popular game.
Yes.
Okay. I'm forming suspicions and an opinion here.
Well, to add to that, the Resident Evil Resistance does have a lot of differences. Like they have their own abilities and everything like that. And like Dead by Daylight, they just have like some perks. But the killer can add zombies, and then they can be the zombie and attack the survivors. The gameplay is different. It is a whole new take on it, but they're both a 1v4. So that's where it's the same.
Let me ask you this about Resistance then.
Yes.
From a game to game, is there a lot of variability in that? Like, I know you play 4 people. I played the beta of it. You're getting a key, you're trying to get to the next section.
Yep.
I played about 4 or 5 matches. You're getting the key and you're trying to go to the next section. Is there a lot of variability in each of the games that you play? I know if you're the murderer, yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do. But as a survivor, are you going to be feeling like it's kind of samey after a while?
In essence, yeah. While playing as the killer, you can choose, I think it's 4 different scenarios, quote unquote, because that's the scenarios are how all the key items and stuff is placed in the map. So it's not going to be the same every time, but there is only so many options, and that's at least right now. I'm not sure if they'll update that or add more scenarios or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's same as any other game. It will kind of feel the same eventually, but
Okay.
you will have good matches where it's you had a hot streak and just blew the killer out of the water. But sometimes you're gonna get wrecked and it's gonna be a bad day.
Now I think from you talking about it, this game does seem like it's a very quality game. Great production, good combat. You didn't mention the story, but I'm assuming it was at least pretty good.
Yes, no, yeah, I like the story. I like what they did with it. They included enough for me to be pleased with it. I mean, just because they didn't have a few places, they had more added to the places that were in the game. Like the hospital is just a lot bigger.
Okay.
So it
definitely sounds like it's worth it, except for that 5-hour gameplay. Like that's
right.
The thing for a $60 game. Should the hours you put into a game story actually matter on how much it costs? Like if it's an amazing game and it's only 4 or 5 hours, should you even really care about the price?
I don't think so, and I think that's why they added that point system in it, so that way you can add more game time and just at least have fun with it, or try to beat it in the fastest amount of time that you can, because they do have a grading system on when you beat it. Like I've beaten it once so far and I only got a B because it took me 5 hours. For an S ranking, you need to beat it in 2.5 hours or less, and you can only save, I think it was 2 times or 3 times, and I saved like 12.
Okay.
So there is a competitive edge to it if you want to take it.
So it kind of sounds like Capcom knew it was going to be a little shorter, but they tried to add all these different things to kind of entice you to keep playing. You have a 5-hour story, but at the end of the day, you have an online mode, you have reasons to go back, you have perks when you get that rocket launcher, and to you, that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah, because that online game alone, you can put in 100 hours and still have a great time.
Okay. It also sounds like they're very much aware of the huge Resident Evil speedrun community, so they kind of made it to where it's a little bit more not too taxing for them, I guess, as far as time goes. Yeah.
My brother actually speed runs the Resident Evil games, and he does very well with them. And just to have him be like that short, like he can beat Resident Evil 3 remake in an hour and 50 minutes easy. And that just blows my mind. But yeah, since it's shorter, there's less places to make errors. You don't have to remember as many spaces and bad guys and everything like that. So I think they kind of try to compensate all players that are going to play it.
So I got one more question for you. Yeah. And this is the reason I have not bought the game. I liked Resident Evil 2. I loved it. It was like my second, favorite game of last year. Mm-hmm. How scary is this game? Is it worth it to buy if you are a coward, like some people I know are? Not me.
Yeah, it's not big on really like scaring you the entire time, because I mean you already know it's a zombie game. There's zombies gonna be everywhere. It's just
that's what makes it scary.
Once in a okay, if you're if you're that scared of like I wouldn't get it, but sure. Nemesis scares you a couple times, but it's.
I mean, have you seen his face?
That's about it. Yeah, he's just scary in general.
But
yeah, there's a few like oh crap moments, like that scared the crap out of me. But yeah, it's not like the scariest game you will ever play.
It's not Five Nights at Freddy's scary.
Revolutionary game, evolutionary. Yeah, I'll tell all my buddies who were too scared to get it that it's A-okay.
Good.
Or you can just call them cowards to their face and just see how that works out.
All All right, I'll be going to the mirror then.
There you go.
All right, so I guess it sounds like it was worth it.
Yes, very much.
All right, there you go, folks. Take it from us. 100% worth it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cowards, right? We have our next segment, which is called Chumped or Chomped. The premise is very simple. We play video games. Video games have bosses in them. They are meanies. But sometimes they're actually weenies. We try to figure out, hey, this boss that you had a hard time with, that took you hours and hours to defeat, was it in fact a hard boss? Or do you just kind of suck? For this segment, we're going to get Cory's impression on a game he's been playing recently.
All right, here we go. I have been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have recently beat the game. I liked it. There was a boss in there that I felt like just has to be talked about. I really enjoyed it. So the boss is the Leviathan. Now, this is kind of a spoiler, but not too much. So if you really don't want to be spoiled at all, I guess fast forward 5 minutes. But here we go. All right, so Leviathan is a summon, which is a creature that you can use on your team to help you in battles. Now, to get this summon, though, you first have to defeat him in battle. Now, he is a giant, if you know through, like, I guess, the mist. He's a giant water dragon. Looks amazing. He covers up, I don't know, he's probably 200 feet tall compared to your characters in this game. And you fight him in this giant arena, and he has all these special moves, one including called the Tidal Wave. The Tidal Wave is a tough one because it hits your characters no matter where they're at. There's no way you can block it. There's no way you can escape. He will hit you. And in my experience, he took out all 3 of my party members right away the first time I fought him. Wow, didn't know about that. Went back to him. Died the same way. Third time, I became very prepared. I set up all my characters with their different spells that they had to use to defeat them. I went in there. I started battling him. He did the Tidal Wave. I had one of my characters, Barrett, survive it. He hurried up. He Phoenixed down. Cloud and Tifa got him healed up. I healed up my partners as best as I could. He did it again. Now, this battle took probably about a half hour total of just pure fighting him, healing my teammates, running around the arena like a crazy man, and every so often he'd use his Tidal Wave ability. So my favorite part happens where I'm at the end here. He's got a little sliver of life. I'm going to win for sure. I have almost everyone healed up all the way. And then you see it. You see the big letters above his name, Tidal Wave, because they announce it. It's a little bit like an anime show. They announce what moves they're going to do beforehand. So I see that. I then have to make a executive decision. I heal up the one character that has the majority of life left, which is Cloud. He gets something to like 4,000 HP. Cloud has not survived this attack before. I don't know if I didn't have enough life with him at the time, but he has always died. Sliver of life left. Cloud's the only one healed. He uses Tidal Wave. Tifa, Barrett, both great people in the game. Really well characters. They die. It happens. Cloud survives with 20 life left. I run up to him. Yes, no. I'm exaggerating. It's so little that any one attack will kill me. So it might as well be 20. But while he does this, every time your character takes damage or deal damage, they gain points towards their special ability. In this game, it's called a limit break. It's your ultimate move. Cloud got hit with the Tidal Wave. He then gains his limit break. So I'm across the arena making a mad dash towards this Leviathan with my limit break. As I get to him, I'm pounding on the controller, get the limit break off, and I kill him with Cloud having absolutely 20, 40, 50 life left. It was a stand up and shout type of moment. I don't know if you guys have had those before, but I beat him and I stood up and I shouted.
That's great.
And my cat got scared and my dog got scared, but it was okay. I was the only one there to witness it, but it was amazing and one of the best boss fights I've had in a couple years, I think. So, I already know this was a 100% chomped. Am I correct?
I mean, we have to ask some questions and do some investigations, and really kind of determine things here. So let's see here. So you have a total of 3 characters, right?
Three party members, correct?
That you're combating, right? And you all have now. How far along in the game is this?
Man, maybe about halfway.
Okay,
I would say.
Okay, so not the ultimate baddie, but definitely a baddie that's to test your resolve and progress.
Maybe a little further than halfway. He's like the last summon that you get naturally throughout the story, I would say. Okay. So he's like the final summon.
Okay.
But not quite.
Okay. And so I now, because I remember I saw like a video on this. You have Barrett's the guy. Now for one, I'm not a Final Fantasy person, so Final Fantasy people do not judge me. Okay. But Barrett's the guy with the gun arm, right?
All right, I'll explain him real quick. Cloud has a big sword and big hair.
Yep.
Tifa has has hands that she uses to punch people, which doesn't really seem fair. And Barrett is a guy with a gun on his arm, which is awesome.
Okay. Yeah,
and he's got a sweet attitude. Love the guy.
Yeah. So you're doing this. You got your gun guy, right? Now I'm guessing he's mostly just ranged attack stuff. He doesn't have to come in close. Right, you're mostly using Cloud to come in with the sword and hack away at the body.
Right.
Okay, yeah. And so every time this tidal wave came up, it was almost a one hitter on all your people.
So here's the deal. At this point in the story, I had about 4,000 HP with Barrett, had about 3,500 with Cloud and Tifa. Okay. At full life, which you really don't ever have full life once you start a battle. You're healing people constantly, but it doesn't always heal them all the way. So. Right. When I knew tidal wave was coming, I would spend all my points to heal Barrett all the way because he had the most HP. When that happens, the other two would die. They could not survive it. Barrett would always survive with about 500, 600, 700 HP, which then I would switch to Barrett and immediately try to heal my other two party members. The first two times it didn't work. I died. I didn't have enough time. I didn't have enough preparedness, But yes, that's what happened.
Okay, now was there? I mean, how in accordance to there's a leveling system, right, of the progression?
Right.
So were you under leveled for this encounter? Do you think?
Yeah, I was just say, can you go back and get him?
You can do it. You can get him anytime. There's a side character there that you are exploring creatures and trying to figure out what they're all about. Once you do enough of that, he lets you fight these summons to unlock them. I was doing that pretty much throughout the entire game, though, so I think I had the earliest opportunity to fight this creature. And Final Fantasy VII is a pretty linear game, so there's not a lot of chances to what's the word I'm looking for here? Grind. You can't really grind and get your levels too high. So I do think I fought him at some of the earliest points I could.
Okay. You're sending your people in there underprepared. I think
which in my mind makes me more of a chomp, right? If I would have been a chump had I lost even one time overpowered. I was underpowered. I gave him a fair shot and he won twice. That's the great thing about loading is he actually never won once because I loaded it back up and he had no clue.
Using the technical aspects of a computer system.
Using the things they give me, yes.
Okay. I don't know, David. You leaning towards a chomped on this one or more of a chumped?
Based on my only Final Fantasy knowledge, and that's 10 and that's 2. And I know 7 is a little different than theirs. That's why I asked if you could go back and fight him. But saying it was pretty linear, sure, he probably fought him at the earliest he could. But it feels pretty chomped because that tidal wave move, I know how that is. And that's trash right there. It's not fair. I know it's a fight and it's not supposed to be fair. But, yeah, I'm going to go with chomped.
Thank you, David.
Okay.
Now, Jeremy, before you go on, I just want to ask you one question, okay?
Sure.
How many times in your gaming history have you stood up and screamed after a certain aspect of a game?
I stood up, screamed, and stomped on my PlayStation after a game of Madden 04 or 03.
In a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way.
You were so elated that you had to stand up and let your emotions just out,
Wow. It would probably have to. Oh, yeah, I can remember. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a game I was still younger, but there was a game for the PlayStation, original PlayStation, of the Jurassic Park Lost World game. There's a level where you're like a little green dinosaur, and you're having to try to survive being stomped on by brontosauruses. This is a real level. This is a real level in a real game. I was dying repeatedly there, and when I finally got done, I felt just so much elation as a kid.
And I did the you typical, whispered.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right? Yeah, I did
exactly.
That. Yeah.
And you were chomped at that moment. 100%. You were chomped, and that's why I cannot be chomped.
Well, so here's what I'll give you. Well, no, you're wrong about the kid part because I was an idiot, right? I was an idiot as a kid, right? So that's absolutely a chump because you're an idiot when you're a kid. But I'll give you this part, okay? I've done my fair fighting of dragons in Skyrim, okay, as a Dragonborn, and I know that they are not easy to defeat. And those are fire dragons. I could very much not even imagine fighting a water dragon. So I guess I will give you a chomp on this one. You've earned a chomp. I will give you a chomp.
Thank you. Play the little graphic that goes over this right now, like the little like do 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 do. I want something for this, okay?
Yes, I will find that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I will play the first 17 words that Celine Dion sings, and my heart will go on. That will be what I play on top of it. So it can be just a grand soliloquy.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's all. So there's only 17 words in the song.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right, well there it is.
Sweet, man. So we've been talking about the last couple of games. We've kind of talked about our larger releases, but obviously being gamers, we also want to look out for the little guy. Little guy mean the little game, the indie devs, the ones that make really kind of like the lifeblood, especially if you play games on Steam. I have tons of indie games that I play on Steam. And so every once in a while, it won't be every level or episode, but every now and then we will spotlight an indie game. And these indie games, they can be new, they can be old. If it's just things we enjoy or things we respect, we'll go ahead and highlight them. And for this indie spotlight, we've all agreed that the game that we want to spotlight for this one is not new. It's somewhat of an oldie, but very much a goodie. And that game is Super Hot. Super Hot. Now, I think, David, you said this is your first kind of experience with the game, right? Playing it recently?
Yeah, it's like my first like indie game that I've played because I found out about it because I was given it for free from my Twitch, Amazon, account, whatever, because I had Prime, so I got it for free. I'm like, this looks interesting, and I'll try it. And I really loved the concept of the game. It was simple. The graphics, there like isn't any graphics, which is just kind of clever all in itself, and just the simplicity, but yet it got difficult. Like I didn't beat the game, but it was great, and just for something so simple to be so entertaining, right? It blew my mind.
Yeah, it's a great game. Honestly, it's you trying to, with these lo-fi kind of art style, polygon style.
Polygon, yeah.
It is you trying to be John Wick. That's basically what it is. Yeah,
I mean, pretty much it's
John Wick.
It's a first-person shooter puzzle game.
Yep.
Which is you don't see that strategic. A lot. Portal is a first-person puzzle game, but this is pretty unique.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know about Super Hot, it's a game where the world stands still until you start moving. And then when you start moving, the world starts moving. And you got all these people coming after you, but they're frozen until you start doing something. And then if you stop doing something, they stop doing it. So you can kind of pick and choose your path, and you don't have to kind of be like, guns blazing right then and there, because you can think about what you want to do, which I think is just a great idea.
Yeah, but it is guns blazing. You start and stop, but in every level that you start, there are multiple people trying to kill you.
Yes.
So what you have to do is figure out, okay, this guy on the right is coming at me with a crowbar. this person at the left is coming at me with a gun and they're going to shoot. Okay, well, if I move at this certain time or at this certain angle, when the guy with the gun shoots, I can move around the guy with the crowbar. He'll hit the guy with the crowbar. I can grab. I'll stop moving as the guy that got shot that's holding the crowbar is falling because he's dead because he got shot. And then I'll grab the crowbar and then quickly I'll move around, throw it at the guy with the gun, hit him in the head. That stuns him. He drops the gun. I can start moving again, grab the gun, shoot him, shoot whoever else, and then win the level, right? It's trying to figure out how to time your movements, when to grab things in space, when to throw things, and timing all that up together. So yeah, I would say like a first-person puzzle game. That's like the most apt way to describe it, but it's weird because it's not something like The Witness or anything like that. It's
right. You don't have to figure out what to do. You just do what you think is right, and it'll work, or
most
you
of the
adjust
time
a
it
little
pays
bit.
off.
Right. And the absolute best part about Super Hot, maybe not the best part, my favorite part is the scene you just described might take you 5 to 10 minutes, right? You're trying to figure out what you want to do. You're trying to pinpoint these actions. And then after you do it, they show you a scene of what you've done, but in real time.
Yep.
And it takes about 25 seconds, and you look like the baddest man on the entire planet. You have taken out 50 guys. You have thrown a sword through a guy's chest, caught his gun, fired, thrown the gun at someone else. It makes you feel amazing afterwards.
Yep.
And with that tone going on, go ahead, Jeremy. You can say it again.
Super hot.
Yes, love
Super hot.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's such a great concept. It seems really simple, but it's so good, and I mean that's kind of almost like I feel like nowadays, especially, kind of almost the essence of indie games is that they're really trying to take simple concepts and innovate on them because they don't have the big budget, backings of a place to go ahead and put out blockbuster games. They're not going to put out Assassin's Creed or something like that. Right. So it's nice to see indie games kind of put out stuff like that, and then they can build and make bigger games and stuff. But yeah, Super Hot, had to shout that out on the inaugural episode here because
I just want to say something real quick. It's also on VR. It's very good on VR as well.
Oh yeah,
I have PlayStation VR. It's amazing in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fantastic, man. It's a great game. But that ends the indie spotlight. Nearly ends our very first level of thoughts and players. We are going to move to our final segment, which is called Final Thoughts. In this segment, each of us will offer a final thought or opinion or hurrah or question or confession of love about a game or a subject related to this show. So, Cory, how about you start us off? What is your final thought?
All right, I just want to highlight the fact that Mario Maker 2 for the Nintendo Switch got a huge update last week. It adds so much here. I'll go through it very quickly. It adds Super Mario 2 items. It adds the Koopa Kids. It adds different helmets to play for in the 3D World theme. If you don't know, Mario Maker is a game where you make Mario levels. It's awesome. Please play it. Please make really, really good levels. And that's all I got to say. Hi, Linz.
There you go. David, what is your final thought?
My final thought is, now that we're done all recording this, I could play Streets of Rage 4. And growing up with the Sega, playing Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, I am so excited. And that is my final thought.
That's fantastic. My final thought is going to be, I hope afterwards that I can finally log into my Xbox Game Pass beta on my Windows 10 and download Bleeping Gears Tactics, because I couldn't do it yesterday when I tried to. And I instead went ahead and downloaded Halo Wars to try it out. And I did a skirmish match, and I found out I know absolutely nothing about how to play that game. So that is my final thought. That is it for the inaugural episode, level 1 of Thoughts and Players. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast service. If that's Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or something podcast, not sure. You can like the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thoughts and players, like it's one word, or you can also like us and follow us on Instagram at thoughts.players. We're uploading content there pretty regularly. You can read bios about all the people involved, find out more about us. We have a little bit up there. You can comment on the Was It Worth It? Do you agree with David? Do you think that he's losing his mind? You can comment even on that. We'll have something else for Chump to Chomp. But even on that one, too, you want to let Cory know, hey, dude, you're a straight chump, bro. Like, you're sounding real chumpish right now. Go ahead and let us know there. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks to Cory and David. And we are looking forward to the next one.